Just give me a second. Just a second, please. Hello, everybody. How are you? We will start in just a second. Yes. Okay. Welcome, everybody. How are you? This is Fausto Pulpo, Senior Educational Consultant at Anthology, and today we're going to take a look at the AI Design Assistant. And I will demo the many things that you can use it for. All right, so let's get started. One of the things that you can use the AI Design Assistant for is, as you can see here on the screen, to automatically generate learning modules. Okay, this will help you create a smooth learning path for your students and arrange your content accordingly. So let's demo that one. Let's click on Auto Generate Modules. And as you can see, there are two ways in which you can prompt the AI. One of them is by providing a description, which in this case, as the prompt indicates, could be a course description or the learning objectives. Now, of course, the more specific, the better, always, okay, when you're prompting an AI tool. So what I'm going to use here is from this sample syllabus of a course about electrocardiograph technique and application, I'm going to select the course overview and the course objectives. That should be enough information to provide the AI Design Assistant, and I'll paste it here. Another possibility is to select course items. I haven't uploaded any content or documents or files to this course yet, so that option is not available, but later on today I'll show you how that works. So here in the description box, we have a course overview, and we have 9 learning objectives. As you can see in the example that was generated, normally it generates an image, a title, and a description. Of course, you have to bear in mind that this is auto-generated content, and it needs to be checked for accuracy and bias. And everything you create using the AI Design Assistant, you can later edit or modify or delete as you wish. However, you also have the possibility to include a title prefix. So if we click here to see the drop-down menu, you have topic, unit, week, chapter, and module. So for this demo, I'm going to go with weeks. It will, as I said before, include images and descriptions, which is very useful. And now you have a complexity level control here. And what you can use that for is to make sure to adjust the level of complexity of your content or your assessment instruments or your rubrics, etc., to match that of the actual course content that you're going to be using, so that it is at the same level as your textbook, for example. So let me show you how it changes, okay? So first I'm going to generate the modules with a low complexity level. All right, let's focus on a description for week 2. This week focuses on the cardiac cycle and the conduction system that controls it. Students will explore how the heart beats and how electrical signals help the heart pump blood. We will discuss parts of the heart involved in the cycle. This knowledge will help students understand how to read an electrocardiogram later on. Activities will reinforce what the cardiac cycle means in real life. So this is the most basic level. However, if we turn it up, and as you can see, you can do it very gradually. You have a lot of control. And generate again. All right, let's see the same topic now. This week focuses on the anatomy of the heart, particularly the cardiac cycle and the conduction system that regulates heartbeats. Students will learn how electrical impulses travel through the heart, triggering contractions. This knowledge is vital for interpreting electrocardiograms and recognizing the physiology behind them. Engaging activities will reinforce concepts and enhance retention. Let's turn it all the way up now. But let's generate a few more modules. By default, okay, it will generate 4, but depending on how much content you're covering, you can generate up to 20. Here, I'm going to go with 10 and generate. Now, this is the highest level of complexity. Let's give it a few seconds. There you go. So for the same week, as you can see now, it has changed quite a bit. Students will study the anatomy of the heart and the circulatory system, including its structure and function. Emphasis will be placed on understanding how the cardiovascular system supports overall bodily function. Knowledge of the components, including arteries, veins, and valves, will serve as a basis for interpreting electrocardiograms and diagnosing conditions. Now, what you need to do next is select the modules that you want to add to your course. Course introduction, anatomy of the cardiovascular system, the cardiac cycle, and electrical conduction system. All of those make sense. And as you can see, they gradually build, okay, on top of the previous topics, understanding the electrocardiogram, equipment maintenance and safety procedures. And as you can see, okay, sometimes when images are being generated, if the input, in this case a title, is a bit too generic, then the outcome may not look exactly what you needed or had in mind. Because this is equipment, but equipment in general, so it's more like an industrial type. So when you want to change the image that has been selected for a module, you have two options. The first thing you can do is click on this icon, okay, with the 2 arrows going in circles, and see if it comes up with a more appropriate image. However, the prompt is still going to be equipment maintenance, so we may need to be a little bit more specific. And we can always do that on the next step. So I will include the topic. Yeah, again, it's industrial equipment, so we're going to need to make this prompt a bit more specific. But we'll do that on the next step. Electrocardiographic supplies, proper lead placement techniques, obtaining an electrocardiogram, step-by-step procedure, heart rate calculation and rhythm identification, and cardiac emergencies and electrocardiogram interpretation. I'll add all those modules to my course, and they will now appear on my course content page. Let's give it a moment. There they are. Okay, and as I said before, we need to get a more specific image. So what I will do is click on the ellipses, the 3 dots, to be able to edit this module. And as you can see, you could edit the title, the description, the image, and you could even enable forced sequence navigation, which we talked about in a previous session if I remember correctly. Okay, so let's use this text from here. I'll copy that. And now I'll go to the image options. Click on the icon, select Generate Images, and here in the description, I'll paste that, but I will specify that it is electrocardiogram equipment that I'm talking about. Now I have it generate an image. Now, when you're generating images, it does it one at a time, and you can generate up to 4. So you have choices. That one looks pretty good. Let's generate one more just in case. As I said, you can generate up to 4, one at a time. In a previous version, it generated all 4 options at once, but okay, generating one at a time is much more efficient when it comes to energy consumption for the server. So I guess I'll use this one here and click on Next. Remember, if you want to zoom in, you can do that. Images have a very high resolution, so you don't need to worry about distortion or pixelation at all. So here I will save the image. And let's not forget to save. All right, and now all of our images look just about right, I would say. What else can you use the AI Design Assistant for? Well, you can use it to generate assessment instruments, like assignments. So let me show you how that works. Let's choose one of the topics here. Heart rate calculation and rhythm identification. Cardiac emergencies. Okay, this looks interesting. So I'm going to select, in this case, the description of the module in order to use it as a prompt. I need to go into edit mode so I can select the text. Of course, you can provide your own description, something much more specific, or you can also select course content items. But I'm going to click on the plus sign inside this module. Then click on Create and go to the Assessment category and click on Assignments. All right. So instead of writing the instructions manually and adding the assignment title, I'm going to click on Auto Generate Assignment. Once again, I have 2 possible ways to input my prompt. I'm going to use the module description in this case. I could also use course items, as I mentioned. Now, you can, in addition to the complexity level, which I'm going to maximize because that is the same level I used for the module creation, you can select the desired cognitive level. And it uses the 4 top levels of Bloom's taxonomy of the cognitive domain. Create being the top or highest order thinking skill, according to Bloom's taxonomy. Evaluate, analyze, or apply. Apply is the 3rd level in the pyramid. This taxonomy is usually represented by a pyramid. At the base, you have remember and understand. Those are the first 2 levels, respectively. However, they are usually too basic to be really usable for an assignment. Now, I just want to note that this is a revised version of Bloom's taxonomy, the one that uses verbs instead of nouns. If you leave it at inspire me, however, then you're going to get different levels. Complexity has been adjusted. I also wanted to generate the assignment title. And in case you're wondering about the options, well, you can use that in order to select the output language. Like if you're teaching a foreign language course, that can be very useful, of course. Now I'm ready to generate. Let's see what it came up with. Understanding cardiac rhythms, a conceptual analysis. This is cognitive level here is analyze. So in this assignment, you're tasked with analyzing the significance of different cardiac rhythms as represented by electrocardiogram readings and the subsequent implications for emergency response. To ground your analysis, select 3 distinct electrocardiogram patterns that you believe are critical for responders to recognizing high-pressure scenarios. For each electrocardiogram reading, provide a detailed description of what it signifies, the likely medical emergency associated with it, and discuss the differences in response strategies required for each situation. To enhance your submission, include a diagram illustrating the electrocardiogram readings alongside your written analysis. Okay, so that is an analysis, and it is to be submitted in written form. However, you also have, at a different level, this time evaluate the art of decision-making in cardiac emergencies. For this assignment, you are invited to evaluate various decision-making frameworks. Select 2 frameworks, it gives you an example, and critically analyze their effectiveness. Discuss how each framework aids in making crucial decisions, and to further enrich your submission, consider producing a video or a podcast. So as you can see here, it also gives you ideas on alternative formats that, okay, you can make available to your students. This can in turn be quite engaging since, okay, they will be working on different types of artifacts to share their findings, conclusions, etc. Finally, preparing for the unforeseen, a comprehensive action plan. Okay, so here they basically need to draft a detailed response protocol that incorporates critical procedures. Additionally, you're encouraged to include an infographic that visually represents the steps. So as you can see, it covers many aspects of the topic and really gives students an opportunity, very clear instructions that make your expectations very, very, very clear as well. I kind of like this one here. Framework, a video or podcast. So I'll go with this one here. Select it and add it to my course. Let's give it a second. Let's refresh it. My connection is a little slow today for some reason. There you go. And of course, you can edit this in any way you want. All you need to do is click on the little pencil icon, and then you can change the text. You can add information or details or instructions. You can share files that they may want to use as sources, embed videos, insert images, anything you need. You have the full text and content editor at your disposal. Here, I'm just going to go with the instructions as they were provided. because even though you can edit them, they are, I would say, always, or pretty much always, quite clear and comprehensive. So there's very little, if anything, for you to change at all. So I'll go with that one. And now I'm going to use these instructions for something that I find extremely helpful. Probably one of my favorite features of the AI Design Assistant. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions at any time, please do not hesitate to ask. You can use your microphone, raise your hand first, or you can also use the chat. Okay? You don't have to wait until the end to ask questions. We will, of course, have some time for Q&A left at the end. So I'm going to click on the little icon here on the right to access the settings. And what I want to do is scroll down to additional tools. And here I find use a grading rubric. I'm going to generate one. In the description, I will paste the instructions. And there are quite a few things that students have to do for this one. Select the type of rubric. Choices or options are percentage range, points, points range, or no points if it's formative. In this case, I'm going to go with percentage. Complexity, to manage the complexity assignment. 4 columns is usually the standard, even though you could generate up to 5. And the standard is also 4 rows, but here they have to do several things. So I'm going to generate 7, which is the maximum number. Of course, 7 is up to how many rows or criteria will be generated. However, in the next step, you can add additional criteria manually, okay, to cover aspects like format, text extension. If it's a written submission, maybe if you want to take into account coherence and cohesion of a text, use of how they cite their sources, etc., you can always add. But here I'm just going to generate. Give it a few seconds. Okay, let's take a look at the criteria it generated. Depth of analysis, 20% of a total grade. Realism of mock scenario, another important point, 15% of the total grade. Application of frameworks, another 20%, that was one of the main tasks. Clarity and organization, that's 15%. Engagement of the presentation, 15%. Reflection on outcomes, 10%. And use of evidence and support, 5%. Remember, you can change anything you want. You can edit anything and everything on the next step. Let's take a look at the descriptions. Realism of mock scenario. For instance, exemplary, 100%. The mock scenario is vividly constructed, accurately reflecting real-life cardiac emergencies with detailed context that enriches the analysis. Versus proficient, 75%. The mock scenario is adequately realistic with relevant details that demonstrate a solid understanding of a cardiac emergency context. Satisfactory. The mock scenario is somewhat realistic but lacks detail or relevance, making connections to the framework less effective. And if you do not find better, okay, to something like in progress, maybe. And needs improvement. The mock scenario is poorly constructed, lacking realism, and failing to contextualize the decision-making frameworks properly. So I like this rubric, and I'm going to click on continue. Here, you can edit anything you want simply by clicking on the pencil. The weight, the wording of the description, the header, the names of the criteria, the weight of each criterion, etc. If you want to add criteria, you can do that as well. Okay, but if you do, then you probably need to adjust. You're probably going to need to adjust the ways of some of the other criteria. In this case, I don't really need a new one. I do want to give it a title that I can easily recognize. So cardiac emergencies, assignments. Let's save it after making any changes. And okay, don't forget the last step, which is to add the rubric to the assignment. They have been linked, and now all I have to do is save. And as you can see, my rubric is ready for me to use, okay, when grading my students. And that can literally save you at least a few hours of work. And it will always, your rubric will always be completely aligned with, okay, the instructions and context of the assignment. So just like you can use the AI Design Assistant to generate an assignment, you can also use it to generate a discussion or a learning journal. So let's say after students submit and share their findings, you want to have them discuss the topic to perhaps explore it a bit further. Or maybe the other way around. Maybe you want students to discuss this topic and in this process sort of collectively generate and explore ideas about the topic. So in this case, it would make a lot of sense to use a discussion. I'll click on plus here, then on create. And remember, you can generate discussions and journals. I'm going to go with a discussion in this case. Auto-generate discussion. And here, I'm not going to use a description. I am going to click on select course items, go to content, and that was in number 10, I guess. Yes. And I will use the assignment as a source. Of course, I can also combine multiple sources, but I think it would be interesting to use just the assignment and select. It indicates that I have only select one course item, desired cognitive level, again, inspire me. Let's turn up the complexity level so that everything matches, and then generate. Frameworks in crisis, comparative exploration, lessons in decision-making from the field, and there is always a third one, creating a narrative around decision-making. So in this case, I think this one sounds interesting for a discussion. And then all I need to do is add it. And once again, I can use this to generate the rubric. Let's save this. Go to the settings by clicking on the little gear icon. And of course, if you want to use a rubric with a discussion or a journal, you need to first make it gradable, even if it's going to be formative, okay? I mean, generating or awarding a grade does not necessarily mean that that grade will have an impact on the overall course score. It could be formative. So grade this discussion. Now I can indicate the due date. Well, tomorrow is Halloween. Use add grading rubric, generate. I'll paste the instructions of this discussion. Rubric type. Again, I'll use percentage. It could also be no points if it were formative, right? For instance, if I know you're using goals, okay, the goals tool, which means that you have alignments within your course with both content and assessment instruments. Progress towards goals does not necessarily always have to be summative. So even if you select no points, if you make the alignments with a different criteria in your rubric, it will still feed the goals performance reports and analytics. I'll go with percentage, turn the complexity level all the way up, and again, generate 7 rows. Now click on generate after you have set up the specs here. Let's give it a moment. All right. Clarity of framework analysis, depth of scenario development, interpersonal communication insight, application of frameworks in practice, critical evaluation of strengths and weaknesses, supporting evidence and references, and overall organization and presentation. You can, in the next step, add additional criteria as well, especially regarding how they are to engage or interact with their peers, for instance. And then I'll call this one week 10 discussion. Save it. Remember, you can edit anything you want here, but don't forget to save it when it's ready. And then add it. Finally, save again. And now this grading rubric has been linked to this discussion. And if you want to use the AI Design Assistant to generate the learning module, learning journal, and of course, rubric for that grading journal, you can follow the same procedure that I have just demoed. Okay, so that is yet another thing that you can use the AI Design Assistant for. Okay, there are more options, though. One of them is that you can use the AI Design Assistant to generate question banks. Okay, and of course you can select course items or actual course content. So before I do that, let's generate some course content. So let me use a sample text. that I have over here. It's a 2-page article on the importance of or the potential of artificial technology in education. Well, I know that is not related, okay, to the sample topic here, which is electrocardiograms, but it should be useful for this demo anyway. Because in that way, oh, sorry. In that way, I can also demo a couple more things. So before I create the question bank, I'll create a document with the information I want. Okay, I'm going to paste that content. Another alternative would have been to, yes,
I
please
think
go
there's
ahead.
an issue with your screen resolution. It's coming across really blurry right now.
Really? Is it the same for everybody?
Yes, it's not clear.
Okay, and it just happened right now, or it's been like this for a while? Okay, let me refresh.
For
If
the
not,
past
I'll.
minute.
Okay, so let me save this and refresh. If not, I'll connect using a different. A different network. Just give me a second, please. Is it still the same?
I think it's a little bit better, but it's still blurry.
Andrew?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
It got
I'll leave
blurry
and
again.
come right back, okay? So it might be a Zoom issue. I'll leave the session for just a second and connect again to see if that fixes it. If not, I'll connect through a different network. Just give me a second. Better now?
Looks good now,
Yes.
thanks.
Yeah, much better.
All right, perfect. Yeah, it might have been a Zoom thing because apparently my connection is fine. All right. So I have just pasted some text. It's a 2-page article on the potential of artificial intelligence in education. And I'm going to be using this as a source for generating questions, both within a question bank and also within a test directly. But first, we need the source. So one thing I can do is edit this content. Okay, I want to save it. Okay, edit the content. And I could, of course, change the layout and the formatting manually, but I can also use the AI design assistant to help me automatically generate a layout. So let us do that. Should it include relevant images? Yes. Should it use stock images from Unsplash or generate the images using AI? It's completely up to you. Remember, Unsplash images are photographs, whereas okay, whereas images generated with the AI design assistant look more like drawings or paintings. Okay, it also generates a knowledge check. And a knowledge check is basically a formative multiple choice question that is not intended to generate any grades. It's basically for students to be able to check whether they fully grasped the contents of an ultra document, and for the instructor to get an idea of how their students, okay, are doing regarding this content. So if you see that you will not get any individual reports here, this is not a quiz. What you will get is statistics about how your students are performing. And if you see that a few of them are struggling a little bit, then, okay, it may be a good idea to review the topic or revisit it or provide some reinforcement or additional materials, etc. So I will use this one. Okay, it's not perfect, as you can see. I mean, this should probably come here. But once you apply the layout, then it's very easy to change things. I'll use this here. Don't really need that block, so I'll delete it and add that title there. And lack of personal touch should go here. So depending on the actual format of your original text, you may or may not need to do this, okay? In this case, as you can see, it just takes a few seconds to fix things. Yeah, that's about it. And now you have, okay, a very nice looking piece of text. And of course, you can fully edit this. For example, here, key points, or next steps, etc. This is a recently added feature here. Okay. So I'll save this. And as you can see, the accessibility score is 100%. Now that we have Now that we have our content, I will use that to generate questions. So all I need to do, if I want to generate a question bank, is go to Details and Actions, Question Banks, and then click on Manage Banks. I'll Plus, auto-generate, and here I will select course items, of course. Go to week 10, which is where I have. Here I have a transformative role of AI in education. I could select multiple sources. All right, complexity level. You want it to be standard across the course, so I'll set that to high. Question type, if you leave it at Inspire Me, then you're going to get a combination of essay, questions, fill in the blank, jumbled sentence, matching, multiple choice, and true false. That could be a very good idea for a test, but maybe not for a question bank, because the idea is for each student to get a randomly picked selection of questions, and you want them all to be at the same level of difficulty and complexity. And of course, an essay question or even a matching question, they both take considerably longer to answer than a true-false question. So I'll go with one specific question type for my question bank. And then, as you can see, you can generate up to 20 questions at a time. If you want to generate more questions about a topic, well, you can repeat this process multiple times. And then when putting your test together, if you select 2 or more banks and insert them at once, they will be treated as one bigger bank. But I'll show you that in a moment. generate. Now here I have quite a bit of content, so it should have no problem generating all 20 questions. But if I had just a short paragraph, then maybe the output could be a bit smaller, all right? But here we should have enough material for 20 questions. Again, as always, remember, please, that this is auto-generated content and it needs to be checked for accuracy and bias. That's why you don't have a select all option here, because the idea is for you to be able to take a look at each question and make sure that you want to add it to the bank. As always, you can edit the questions on the next step. But right now, I'm just going to add all 20. And add them to the question bank. Generated bank, October the 30th. I can give it a better name, of course. All you need to do is click on it and click on the name to change it. Let me dismiss this. So AI in education quiz, for example. Okay, so here from, yes, Mohammed?
Hi. Just a quick question. I see you generated the questions from the documents you just created. Can I
Yes.
do that if can I attach a PowerPoint or a PDF and ask the
Oh, yes,
AI to
yes,
generate?
you can.
Okay.
Yes,
Where I do
you
that?
can do that. It'll read. Oh, let me show you.
Okay, thank you.
So, let me give you an example. Okay, let's go to course content and I will upload. So there are two ways in which you can upload a file. You can do it directly, okay, into your course. Sorry. Okay, I'll use the same one. So you can upload it into a module or folder, as you can see here. Or you can create a Ultra document and you can upload it to the Ultra document as well. But in this case, I uploaded it directly to the course. Okay, that is the original file. So let me now go to question banks, auto generate, select course items. It's this one here, and select it. Hi, 20, different question types this time. And well, let's give it a few seconds. It will scan the PDF in this case, and then generate the questions. Okay, there they are. So as you can see, Okay, it might take a few extra seconds while it's scanning the text, but it does give you what you need. In this case, I left it at Inspire Me. That's why I got different question types, but we'll get back to this one in a moment, okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. Okay, I'm going to discard that one because I'm going to use just one right now. Now that I have my question bank, I can finally create a test. Just give me a second. Sample text. I'll click on the plus sign and add question pool. As sources, I find my question banks, AI in education. This is the one I created. Now I can select all the questions because they have already been curated and add those to my test. I have 20 in the pool. So let's say I want 10, okay, to be randomly displayed to students, 1 point each. Okay, I can edit that here and save it. So it is very easy, okay, if you're covering several topics in a test. What I would do is generate one question bank per topic. In that way, you have full control over how many questions each individual student answers about each specific topic. Okay, so from here, you can always view the questions. And you can, if you click on the three dots, edit or regrade it or align it with goals if you forgot to do that, or even remove it from the pool if you change your mind. But of course, you probably want to do this before you make the test available to students. Even if you do it afterwards, you can edit, regrade it, or align with a goal, and the information will be updated. But removing from pool once students have already begun taking the test is not possible. So, all right. So just like you can generate question banks, you can also generate questions directly on the test. Auto-generate question. I'll select the same source as before, the PDF file. This one here. Okay, high complexity. Inspire Me, so we get different types, but just 10 questions. And generate. Let's give it a couple of seconds. All right. Question 1 is matching. Question 2, true, false. Question 3 is an essay question. And as you can see here, it even shows you an example of a correct response. This is not visible to students. It is visible to you. So you can have an idea of what an answer to this question at this complexity level should look like. Okay? But of course, the example of a correct response is not available to your students. Here you have a jumbled sentence. Another matching, well, the others are the same. Do we have a fill in the blanks? Yeah, okay. I'll use this one too. And add those 5 questions to the test directly. Okay, and of course, also here you can edit anything you want. The point value, the sentence, whether it should be an extra credit question, whether you want to add a question title, or if you want to provide automated feedback as well. You can also, and this feature was added recently, add question metadata. Okay, enter question tags, as well. Just don't forget to save any changes that you may have made. Okay, and that's how you generate questions directly on a test. Let me show you. What happened? Sorry. Just a second, please. There it is. Okay. Let me show you one of my real favorite features of the AI Design Assistant. Okay. Let's click on Create, and then scroll all the way down. Okay. I am afraid my connection is a little funny today. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Let me refresh this. Okay. Plan B. I'll just switch to different browser here. Okay, what's going on? Oh, sorry about that. That was funny. Yeah, it's fine. It must be Murphy's Law. Okay. All right. Click on Create again. And under Participation and Engagement, you want to click on AI Conversations. And I really like this because it's very different from how AI is usually used in the classroom. A lot of the time, students may ask Grok or ChatGPT or any other AI tool questions directly or have the AI do their homework for them. Here, it's the other way around. Here, it's the AI poking, quite literally, the student's brain here. So you're going to establish a context, as I will show you in a moment. And the AI is going to interact with the student in one of two ways. Through a Socratic questioning scheme, in which you provide students with an initial question, and then the students answer the question, and based on their answer, the AI persona, which you can set up, of course, will ask a follow-up question, and then another follow-up question, and so forth. The other flavor is a role play. Okay, and here you allow students to play out the scenario with the AI persona. Let me show you real quick. The first type, what's a key question or topic for the conversation? Let's see, what are the main challenges that young adults often face when managing their personal finances. Okay. Next step, who should the AI be? Here you can be as specific as you want. Okay, and I'll show you lots of examples of that in a moment. But right now, let's go with a default space dog. I mean, of course, you can give it a much more professional or academic sounding name, but it's kind of cute. And look at the avatar or the image here. And the personality trait, here it says supportive. However, you can provide a lot more than just an adjective. You can describe the persona's occupation, personality, mood, attitude, etc., context, etc. Let's turn it up and save it. And let's preview the chat. So here, if I'm not mistaken, I have an answer to that question. Okay, just give me a second, please. Okay. I had already prepared an answer to that question. Young adults often struggle with budgeting, student loan debt, low financial literacy, and the pressure of lifestyle expectations. Limited income and impulsive spending can hinder saving and long-term planning, while social media and peer influence often encourage overspending. So let's say the student answered that. They send it, and then based on that answer, the AI persona asks, how do you think cultural norms and upbringing shape a young adult's approach to financial management? And then the student answers and the process continues. The other possibility is a role play. Here you want to be very specific. The scenario, the AI persona, let's say that you're teaching in the School of Education of a university, and you're training your students on how to deal with challenging students, let's say. The AI persona is a new high school teacher talking to a rather difficult student who has a very bad attitude toward school and education. Okay, that should be enough. Next, who is the AI persona? Let's give him a different name, John. Oh, he's definitely not supportive. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. It's not the AI persona. This is the student. Just realized that. Okay. Now let's go to step 3. You need to be very specific and very careful with your prompts. So the AI persona, this is the AI persona, is a high school student with a very bad attitude and who is not getting good grades. And okay, let's make this into a challenge, save it, and preview the chat. So, hi, John. Let's break the ice first. How are you today? I don't really care, to be honest. School's a waste of time anyway. What's the point of all this? Well, I need to talk to you about your grades. Oh, my grades? What about them? It's not like they actually matter. Like, who cares if I pass or fail? I'll just figure stuff out later in life or whatever. Okay, so that's your typical rebellious teenager, I guess. But okay, even though this is an extreme situation, think of the possibilities here. You can have medical students rehearse how to conduct a patient interview, okay? Or you can have law students rehearse how to address their client or a jury, the member, etc. You could even have a foreign language student interact with a virtual grammar instructor or expert, okay, to help them answer their questions, etc. So they have already been using this tool in a few institutions, and people are quite impressed by the possibilities. But of course, you don't have to create them by hand, manually, because you can also use the AI Design Assistant to help you. I'll select the course item because we have just 5 minutes left, which is enough time. Okay, inspire me because it could be role play or Socratic questioning. And generate. And as always, it's going to give you 3 options to choose from. Okay, navigating AI adoption in education, an interesting topic. This is a role play. And the conversation scenario, you are an educational consultant with expertise in AI integration in learning environments. The persona seeks your guidance to implement AI in their school to enhance student engagement and learning outcomes. Their school struggles with traditional approaches and is looking for ways to transform its educational practices using AI. There is a reflection question too. How can I balance the innovative potential of AI with the traditional values that shape our educational philosophy? And the AI persona is Jordan Smith. Jordan is the principal of a K-12 school who is deeply passionate about integrating technology into education to foster a more engaging learning environment. They value innovation and are emotionally invested in their students' academic and personal growth. Their expected outcome is to understand how to effectively adopt AI solutions to benefit their school community. But then you have Socratic questioning, the ethical implications of AI in learning, and another Socratic questioning, conversation, personalization versus human touch in education. So here, Socratic questioning, the whole point here is to help students further explore a topic. I would say quite useful before a big assignment. And role play is more like an actual application in a more realistic context in which students have to think quickly because they have a limited amount of time. And this could be useful in helping students like acquire and practice in context. Yes, Mohammed.
Yes, sorry, I have a meeting at 1. I have to jump, but I just want to ask a question very quick. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it is an answer for that. Since we create the rubric for assignments and or journal, and the AI also help it to create the topic as well. When the student submit the assignments, is there a way and I upload if I uploaded this to the AI can highlight the one not meet the rubric? Of course, I'm gonna look at everything, but this is something like kind of skim it and highlight anything like for grading. Highlight things not meet or not quite um, meet the rubric requirements.
That's an interesting scenario, but currently I do not know of any solution
Okay.
that will do that. But I mean, you may want to go to the community exchange, idea exchange, and request it because it does sound interesting.
All right. Maybe we have further discussion about that later. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. I have to jump. I appreciate it.
don't worry. You're very
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Sure, you're very welcome. Thank you, everybody. We run out of time. See you next. See you in the next one.
Well, thank you, Foster.